Before we get into it today, I wanted to address something that I saw in the comments that I thought was pretty cool. Someone asked me like, hey Michael, do you know where Tom Brady shot his retirement announcement? And funny enough, I actually do. I know this area so well. I know this area like the back of my hand. And as soon as I saw the video, I knew he was standing approximately right here. He might have been sitting down. And how do I know that? Because check it out. We got these white ropes right behind us. You can see that building right there in the background, as well as this one right here. No, that one. And he's kind of blocking this one with his face. So he's standing right about here, right about where I'm standing. So I thought it would be cool to come out here and show you guys this because I live right down the street. Tom Brady's my neighbor. This is basically walking distance to his house. I've showed you guys where he lives over there on Indian Creek Island. You can walk there in like 10, 12 minutes from here, so it's not far. And I'm not a huge sports fan or anything like that, but I figured I would address it because I thought it was super cool. And I've seen some of those videos on YouTube where people go to like old movie locations, like this is where this part of the Terminator was shot, this is where part of the Back to the Future was shot, and sometimes it looks exactly the same, sometimes it looks totally different because that was 30 years ago, you know? But obviously this looks exactly the same because that was just a few days ago. Now today's video is going to be heavily inspired, basically completely, by everything that you guys have been sending me. And thank you so much. I'm going to give you all shout outs of things I'm going to mention in this video today because you guys are on it, man. Let me tell you, I love how smart my audience is, and you guys are paying attention to the stuff that we've been talking about, and you're sending me the stories to back it all up. And here's the first thing. You get these people in the comments that say, oh, there's no price cuts happening in my area, it's still strong or whatever. No, right? Well, guess what, guys? That's not the case everywhere. And especially if you live in Phoenix, Arizona, and you're looking at buying a brand new home. In fact, one of my viewers, Michael, shared with me this link to Pulte's website, the homebuilder, and it is astonishing how much they are slashing prices on these houses over there. Get a load of this, guys. Look at these listings. You got a 4-bed, 2.5 bath that used to be $805,000. Now it's $721,000. $84,000 off the asking price. You got a 4-bed, 2-bath that was $483,000. Now it's $389,000. $93,000 price cut, okay, on a brand new house. Never been lived in. Here's another one. Was $614,000, now it's $544,000. This one was the Mac Daddy of them all. Look at this. $584,000 was the original price. Now it's down to $429,000. $154,000 price cut. That is insanity. And it just keeps going on like this. You have another one here for $84,000 price cut. Was $805,000, now it's $721,000. Here's another one. Was $617,000, now it's $479,000. $137,000 price cut, guys. Now, I realize that these prices were insanity to begin with, and they really did need a price cut, but look at that. They're still available. It's not like anybody has bought these homes. They're still too expensive. Not only that, but talk about buyer's remorse. Imagine how the people that bought the house that used to be $617,000 is now $479,000. Imagine that the person that paid $600,000 for that house in that same neighborhood, how they're feeling right now. I mean, it is bad. And this is why I've been telling everybody to hold your horses, wait this out a little bit, because there are deals coming, and there's some that you can find right now. Whether or not you consider this a deal, that's up to you. But when you see these type of price cuts happening, they haven't even officially called the recession, and things aren't supposedly even that bad right now, and you're seeing this, that should be a huge wake-up call for people. And I realize that this is not going to happen everywhere. You're not going to see those levels of price cuts in all markets, that's for sure, okay? But we see them sometimes here in Miami, and we see them on houses that are grossly overpriced to begin with. So, fair point, but you're going to start seeing this on more modestly priced homes as well because people still can't afford it. Just like we talked in a video the other day, housing affordability is still the #1 struggle that home buyers are facing today. And let's face it, guys, even though interest rates are basically 6% right now for the most well-qualified borrowers, that's much better than it was, being 7% back in October. At these prices, it's still unaffordable. That's the reality. And you guys can go check this out for yourself. I have all of these stories linked down below, except for one of them we're gonna get to later in the video because it was an email that was sent to me, so there's no way to link it to you. But go check out this Pulte listing link, guys. If you guys are interested in a brand new house in Phoenix, or you just wanna see the insanity for yourself, it's right there for you to feast your eyes on. And how do I know that we're gonna see these price cuts on more modestly priced homes, you ask? Well, I'm glad you asked that too, because I've been browsing Zillow looking at different areas of Florida. And one area of Florida I like, because my grandfather lives over there, is Venice, Florida. So I was looking at home listings over there to see what houses are going for nowadays. And lo and behold, guys, look at this listing. You have this house, they bought it back in June of 2022 for $536,000, and then just a few days later they relisted it for sale for $550,000. So right off the bat, that doesn't even make any sense. I mean, that's only a $14,000 price increase. I mean, if these guys are flippers, they're complete idiots, because I don't know who buys a house and tries to sell it for 15 grand more. The amount you're going to lose in closing costs and commissions and everything else alone is going to crush any sort of profit you were hoping to make. So right off the bat, terrible strategy. But it gets better. This house is still for sale since June of 2022. How long is that? 7 months, guys. Look what the new price is after price cut after price cut after price cut. The new price is now $465,000, which is about $70,000 less than this person paid for it 7 months ago. And this is a more moderately priced home, right? This is not $1 million listing. I still realize a lot of people can't afford a house in this price range, but this is becoming the more normal price range to live in a decent neighborhood in all areas across the country, and Florida is no exception. And you know how long it took me to find this listing on Zillow? It's not like I had to hunt for hours for this. This is just one example. It took me 5 minutes, guys, to find a house with this type of a price cut. I mean, imagine what kind of deals you can find searching for an hour, 2 hours, okay? These are the type of things I would be looking for if I was gonna be buying something right now, are houses with these massive price cuts. Because obviously, these guys are extremely motivated to sell, and they just want out of this place. And I would offer them even less than they're asking right now. You want $465? Okay, well, here's an offer for $400. Take it or leave it. You know what I mean? People need to start doing things like this right now if you want to have a shot at having a good deal, because you never know how desperate the seller might be. Imagine you have this house probably empty for 7 months. You're paying the property taxes, you're paying the utilities, water, sewer, trash, electric bill, insurance, all this stuff, and you're just hemorrhaging money every month. And now we're entering the recession. People need the money. So start making these type of offers out there. And you guys know what else? I don't even have to guess if people who are in this position are regretting their decisions right now, because not only once or twice a month are we having video stories about different buyers' remorse, but I had one of my viewers, Scott, send me this story about buyer's remorse from a guy who bought a house in Seattle, and this guy is getting completely creamed, guys. Look at this story. This guy bought a house on the east side of Seattle over by Totem Lake, and I don't know this area at all. I'm just reading part of this from the story, and he paid $1.4 million for this house. And now he says, fast forward to today, houses are selling in the $700,000 to $800,000 price point in his neighborhood. What? I mean, this guy's house just dropped 50% in value in like what, less than a year? Not really. What actually happened is this guy just got royally screwed and paid far too much for the property. They bought at the absolute peak of March of 2022, which is pretty much correct. I would say You know, first quarter 2022 was just about as bad as it got. And you know, in most places the housing market prices peaked around June of 2022, so it's close enough. He says the house is old and small, only 1,500 square feet, right? And now they feel trapped there. He says the rate that they got was great, probably in the low 3s, maybe even high 2s, most likely. His wife already wants out of this house because the stress of the home ownership has already been too much for her to bear. It's only been a year. And you know, thinking about how much they paid for this place and seeing what other people are getting the houses for in the neighborhood now is probably depressing as hell, I would say. On top of that, they've already had to spend over $20,000 fixing cabinets and some windows, malfunctioning AC system, a staircase that had rot in it, so you got to replace that. The list goes on. And now this guy is getting really nervous because guess what? He's a tech worker and he has a good job, but who knows how long that's going to last, because we've been seeing layoff after layoff happening in the tech sector for months now. And then he goes on to say, I just need to vent. I know I made my bed and I have to sleep in it. I could just scream for days. I feel like a prisoner in my own home. I'll be paying this off for a decade longer than if I just waited a year to buy. And we just got so enamored in the buying frenzy, and we were seriously worried about being priced out forever, making us stretch and squirm our finances to the maximum. This guy is the crown jewel example of somebody who has buyer's remorse and will likely never get that money back, guys. Probably never. This guy's probably gonna have to hold on to that house for a minimum of 15 years, if he's lucky to get the money back after that amount of time. And even then, who knows? We might not see a frenzy like this ever again if interest rates don't go back down to the high 2s or the low 3s. And you know, these prices might never come back. If they do, it's probably going to be far into the distant future. And I'm telling you guys, I've been warning you left and right that if you fall into this trap right now of buying in markets where prices are actively coming down, you're going to be like this guy. You might not have overpaid $700,000 for a house like him, but hey, overpaying's overpaying. You just don't want to find yourself in this position because there's too much to lose. You know, you won't be able to refinance the house when the rates actually do come down. You won't have enough equity. Your property taxes are going to be higher than somebody who didn't overpay. And if you ever need to sell in a pinch, you're going to be losing money and actually have to pay at the closing table. So you better think twice before making this mistake. Oh, and by the way, I told you guys in the beginning that we stopped to show you where Tom Brady shot his video over there, and I forgot to tell you where that's at. That's in Surfside, and just a few blocks up here, I walked up to Bell Harbor, and right behind me here is the St. Regis Resort. It is a beautiful hotel, obviously extremely fabulous and expensive, so anybody who has the money to burn, this probably is a good place to do it. I just love coming over here. This area is so beautiful and so elegant, and living right down the street from here is always a pleasure. Now I want to thank another one of my viewers, Jennifer, for sending me over this story about Credit Suisse, because the reason why this is relevant is last week I put out a video titled "They Want All Their Money Back Now," and a lot of you guys saw that video, and the premise of it was I got a letter in the mail from my mortgage servicer, SPS, and they're basically asking for their money back. They're asking me to pay back the loan, no incentive to pay it back. They're not offering me a lower rate to refinance or anything like that. They're just saying, hey, we'll waive your prepayment penalty. And by the way, a lot of people mentioned the prepayment penalty in the comments of that. And guess what, guys? The prepayment penalty is not even that large, and it's only for the first 3 years of the loan. After that, it expires. So if I had the loan for more than 3 years, there's no prepayment penalty. So that's why I didn't care about having that when I got the loan. And you know, makes no difference to me. I'm not going to be paying off that loan within the first 3 years, for sure. But anyhow, Jennifer sent me this story about how Credit Suisse, they actually are in big trouble right now. And why does that matter? Because apparently they own SPS. And since they own this company, that could be the reason why they're asking for their money back. Because recently their shares in the stock market tumbled to a record low. Right now, their stock price is only $3.41, and that's down 65% over the past year, which is a lot, obviously. Just in the fourth quarter of 2022, they lost $1.6 billion with a B, and it turns out the bank is basically having liquidity problems to the point where, you know, these guys are looking like a bank that's about to go out of business. So imagine if you're a bank that's about to go out of business and you own a mortgage servicing company, what are you going to do? You're going to try to get back as much money as possible. So it turns out my initial thought and instinct on this of why they were sending me this letter is probably correct. These guys are broke, probably on the verge of bankruptcy, and are doing anything they can right now to get as much money back as possible from people. Now, I don't know who in their right mind would be just saying, yeah, I'll give you all the money back and pay off my mortgage, even though I have a record low interest rate, and I'll refinance and get a higher one. Don't worry about it, guys, so that way you can stay in business. Right? I mean, come on, guys. But it sounds like Credit Suisse, these guys had it coming, because for a long time they've been caught up in different types of scandals when it comes to trading and the stock market, and these guys have just been asking for trouble to the point where, you know, it's all catching up with them now, which is the way it should be. And this is just really the example of when these big banks try to play too many games, what happens? You know, the whole house of cards starts collapsing when the economy's on shaky ground, which is what we're starting to see right now. Not only have they lost money the last 4 straight quarters in a row, but also they employ about 50,000 people, and they're planning on cutting about 9,000 of those jobs by the end of 2025, because things are not looking so good for Credit Suisse. And check it out, this is how bad it is for these guys. Back in 2009, they were worth about $78 billion. Today, they're only worth about $9 billion. So this company is on the verge of collapse. That's what's happening. And they're trying to scrape up money from anywhere they can possibly get it from. And I am positive that it's not just Credit Suisse who's in this position. There's probably a lot of other companies in this position that are going to be doing whatever they can to get money from people right now. And that's another reason you guys see so many scams coming up, because scammers impersonate companies like this, or a mortgage servicer, for example, like I got that letter, you know? People can send out letters that look legitimate like this and try to get you to pay off the mortgage and send it to the wrong people. So just watch out. Now here's another good story for you guys from one of my viewers, Mark. And I shared his story a little while back. The last time I talked about what's the status of the insurance situation down here in Florida, because it is a nightmare. And he told me back in that video, and you guys can go check it out if you want to see the full story, but basically he had to sue his insurance company because they basically tripled his rate overnight because his roof was too old. And so he sued them. And it took about 18 months to go through the whole process of the lawsuit, which is why you don't want to go through this. And he told me in his email this was extremely stressful, and after it was all said and done, it still took about 4 weeks for him to get written a check from these people. But now with the money, he was able to fix his roof on his house. His house went up in value, and he was able to save up enough to retire and pay off his mortgage and his SUV. So good for you, Mark. Happy to hear that you actually won this case and things worked out well for you. But that's only part of the story, because Mark lives in Kissimmee, and back in 2018 he was considering selling his house. It's a 3-bedroom house with a pool, and back then the house was worth about $295,000. Fast forward to today, when he was looking at prices, it's worth close to $500,000, about $490,000. He's seen a ton of people buy in his neighborhood, a bunch of them even foreigners, a lot of British people buying in his area. Here's the real story from all of this. Mark's been talking to a bunch of his new neighbors in the neighborhood that recently bought these homes at these higher prices, and they all bought between 2020 and 2021, so all pandemic home buyers, right? And they didn't know, they had no clue of just how much the insurance was going to cost on these homes, especially because of the roof situation here. Basically, if you have a roof in Florida that's 15 years old or older, you can't get home insurance. That's basically what's happening right now. And a lot of these homes, have roofs that are 15 years old or older. So not only do you have to pay for an expensive new roof, but also your insurance premium has gone through the roof. And this is what his new neighbors are saying. They said they moved down here and had dreams of an affordable Florida lifestyle. When these people looked at these homes on Zillow, you guys can go check this out for yourself. They will show you how much they estimate the home insurance is going to be on any given listing. And needless to say, the estimates for these properties that these people bought were grossly underestimated by Zillow, which is pretty normal. You see that all the time, especially on listings here in Florida. And so basically, these new homeowners got completely blindsided by the fact that their insurance was going to cost 3 times as much as they thought it was going to. Remember guys, Mark's insurance went from $1,890 a year to $6,900 a year, okay? And now that he sued the insurance company and got a new one and a new roof, now he's down to $2,300 a year, which is far more reasonable and not too far away from what he was paying before. And so he brought up a very good point that I want to warn all of you about, that when you're looking on home websites like Zillow, Redfin, Realtor.com, it doesn't really matter. They'll all give you their insurance estimates, and if you're looking in Florida anyways, there is a high probability that that number is just completely false, guys. And whether it's intentional or because they just don't know, doesn't really matter. You need to do your own research. You need to get your own insurance quotes before making an offer on a house, or at least during the due diligence period of your offer after you go under contract, because that can be a way to get out of the contract if you have an as-is contract here in Florida. So make sure that if you're going to be making an offer on a house and you think the insurance is going to be cheap, you better double and triple check that, because Mark had to go through this massive lawsuit just to get his insurance reduced, guys. And you don't want this to happen. In the end, it all worked out well for him, but he said it was extremely stressful and it took a big toll on his health. So at the end of the day, doesn't matter how much money you have, guys. If you don't have your health, you don't have squat. And then he just kind of went on to say, you know, it's amazing that anyone can even afford anything at all around here with the cost of these homes now, also with the high interest rates, combine that with the high home insurance, the electric bill, the water bill, okay? And he said over there, just the water bill alone can run you like $200 a month. And I think that's pretty accurate, because when I owned a duplex in West Palm Beach, our water bill was about $300 a month for the duplex. So it can get up there. So you got to look out for all these different expenses when you're buying a house. The mortgage payment that you think you're going to have, especially when you're looking at sites like Zillow, is just the tip of the iceberg, guys. So be careful if you're going to be in the market this year, and consider all these expenses we just discussed. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you click the bell notification down below. YouTube will alert you every time I post a new video, and if you don't want to wait, check out my next one on the screen right over here, and I'll see you guys in the next one.